Hello and welcome. I am HenryPlays and welcome. Oh no, there's too many welcomes. Hello and welcome. I am HenryPlays and this is my review of Subnautica. This review is going to be part of a new series called Games Pass Reviews, where I will find new games on the Xbox and PC Games Pass so that I can review them to see if it's a game that you will like. As for the general structure of this video, I'll start by describing the game, then go into my actual review and finish with a conclusion. Without any further ado, let's get to the video. Subnautica is a massive open-world survival adventure game where you find yourself lost in the depths of a gigantic ocean. You are stranded on planet 4546b after your spaceship crashes into the planet's surface. Luckily, you escaped in one of the escape pods and have survived the initial impact. Now, you have to survive by taking advantage of the local environment whilst also trying to find any other survivors and information about the crash. The game takes advantage of... I forgot, what does it take advantage of? The game takes advantage of a simple crafting system where you will create new tech and fancy bases in order to ensure your survival in the harsh conditions of the ocean planet. Subnautica adds its own unique twist to the survival adventure genre by putting everything underwater in a completely different environment, where you are constantly worried about your oxygen and health, especially when venturing into unknown territory. I think my initial favourite feature of the game is actually how big it is. With every situation there's always room for upgrades and expansion, and when a game like this has a feature like that, you feel like you can't put the controller down and you just have to carry on playing until you've got the best of everything. An example of this is how you start off with a really small oxygen kit and you can't really go underwater for more than 30 seconds without needing to come up for air. But over time, you'll start upgrading your resources and knowledge and you'll know how to make the better oxygen kits. I'll admit I did use a really boring example of oxygen kits, but it works the same with underwater mobility. You start by making fins and then you get big ships like the Cyclops and the Seamer, and only then can you really fully explore the game and how massive it is. I also really do like the way they approach base building in this game. Rather than having walls and floors and roofs, they have tube systems and different rooms. You start off by making a tube with a hatch on it, and then from there you can either start developing your little machines, or you can just create a massive tube system which interconnects all your different rooms. And the possibilities that you can make with your buildings are virtually endless. You have rooms like the observatory, the multi-purpose room, the scanner room, and you also even have a room where you can dock your actual vehicles. But you can't just build everything anywhere willy-nilly. You have to make sure that there's enough foundation and the actual hull integrity is strong enough. Because if you start building a building and you add too many components without actually supporting it enough, your entire base will begin to flood and get cracks, which will then make it unlivable and completely useless. And I will admit I may have fell into that trap, but there's no reason for you to make the same mistake. In the very top left corner it tells you what that's what it tells you. It tells you It tells you the integrity of your actual base. So the more compartments you put on, the lower the number will go. So long as that number's above 0, you do not have a problem. And I just think it's a really fun and unique way to approach base building in a genre that is incredibly saturated with poor base building mechanics. The game also gives you 4 different modes you can play in, varying from a chilled, relaxed experience to a more impossible, hardcore hell. But the standard mode that it's more than likely you'll play is survival, where you have to watch out for food and water along with oxygen and health. Make sure all of those are above 0 and you should be alright. The survival mode balances the mix between surviving and actually exploring really well by not making it too survivally or too easy to the fact that you just don't feel like there's a challenge at all. There's also a mode called Freedom, which is like survival, but you don't need to worry about your hunger and water because that just doesn't exist in the game. Then there's Hardcore, where you're not told about your health or oxygen, you have to monitor that yourself, and if you die for good. But the final mode is creative, and you don't need any resources, any blueprints, anything. You can build whatever you want and do whatever you like. But I do overall recommend playing on survival for the really fun balance of, well, surviving and exploring and doing the actual story. I don't want to spoil the story for anyone, but it is incredibly fun and deep and thoughtful. There are a lot of good things to talk about this game, but what I want to talk about now is how diverse the entire game is, along with how kind of terrifying it also is. At the end of the day, you're on a hostile alien planet with very few resources and big fish that want to kill you. You might find yourself like I did, sneaking around the deeper sections of the ocean, trying to avoid the massive creatures that will actually haunt your dreams that night. But the actual game itself, the environment is just incredibly diverse. From fish to fish, biome to biome, there's even a floating island for you to explore. But that is the primary thing about this game, exploring. The developers worked long and hard so that you could enjoy yourself and have a chill whilst you explore this massive, crazy alien world where basically everything is trying to kill you. And whilst we're on this topic, the game even gives you an option whether you want to follow the story or not. It doesn't try to force the dialogue down your throat or the story itself. It may come up occasionally with the odd radio message, but nothing that's like, you have to go and do the story now, otherwise you'll die. Whereas in games like The Forest, the story is kind of forced down your throat a bit when the cannibals come to eat you. And I know I've talked a lot about the good things about this game so far, but I promise this is the last one. The actual sound of the game itself is incredible. The way it makes you feel immersed by muffling all the sounds around you as if you are actually underwater. You constantly hear the fish whooshing past you and the moans of the larger fish when they're eating. Or at least, I think they're eating. You gotta add some kind of realism in your head there somewhere. Or you don't, because at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. This adventure is your adventure and no one else's. But the game sounds accompanied by the actual soundtrack of the game will completely immerse you in the actual situation. You'll know when you enter a new biome or you're being chased by a fish because of the music that's playing. And the music kind of tells you everything you need to know. Now, on the other hand, the game isn't quite perfect. There was a single issue that really caused me to question my initial amazement. And if you have ever seen another review of this game, you'll probably have heard it there as well. The render distance. Items and textures constantly popping in and out of the frame. I wouldn't mind, but there wasn't even like an option for it in the settings to be able to smooth it out, like your render distance and how far it goes. And after looking online, it doesn't really seem like I'm the only person with this problem, and it seems to be a problem with the game itself. If an issue like this is a deal breaker, I really don't think the game's for you, because it did actually start to ruin the immersion after a while. But overall, honestly, I think you should still pick up the game and try it, especially considering it's free because you've already got the Games Pass. The only thing you're losing is the time. I wouldn't really count this against the game itself, but it really did surprise me when I saw it. But the game doesn't have co-op. And honestly, I think this would be the perfect game to jump in with a friend or two when you have some free time. But in a statement by Unknown Worlds, the actual developers, they say that Subnautica will be a single player game only and will not receive multiplayer. But I have looked online and there are multiple multiplayer mods for the game, but I still think the developers are really missing out on the fact that a vanilla multiplayer option would have been absolutely amazing for the entire community. But hey ho. So in the end, I think that this is a fantastic survival adventure experience that every gamer must get their hands on at some point. Even if you're not a fan of the survival genre, you need to try this game. It's a completely unique experience like nothing else. If you choose to completely avoid this game, you're the one that's missing out. Subnautica is a truly fantastic game that's easy to sink tens and hundreds of hours into, and especially considering it's kind of a relaxed game. The near truly immersive experience is rivaled by no other. There is only one group of people that I do not recommend this game to, and that's people that are hydrophobic. I really don't wish to make fun of the phobia, as I can imagine it is incredibly hard to live with, but for everybody else this game is perfect, and it's a perfect time filler, along with an enjoyable experience. What do you really want from a game? And oh yeah, as an added extra, the download's only like 8 gig, it is literally nothing, and it's a fantastic game. It is 100% worth it. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe so that you do not miss any future related videos. Check out my other social medias down in the description and comment down below any questions or queries that you may have. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great day. Ciao.